All right, this is episode 114 of the Beer and Bullshit Show. Woo!
Woo! Yeah.
Um, I am the host Chris Bennett, and we have Mr. Sugar Shane.
Sugar Shane.
Uh, he's down in the great country of Colombia.
Colombia.
Colombia. So,
Yeah.
uh, so before I dive into my first beer, um, tell me what you're drinking, and tell us a little about Colombia. I'm curious. I've had okay, I've had friends from Colombia, but they've never really told me about Colombia.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Colombia is my favorite country in the world, for sure.
okay, why is that?
Well, I'll tell you about it, but let me tell you about my beer first. It's not my favorite beer country. I think I don't know, maybe Italy is my favorite beer country. Maybe Germany. I don't know. Maybe the United States. I think the United States is recently the most progressive, but this is Club Colombia. It's the red, just a red. Pretty simple. Colombians are allergic to anything that has higher ABV than like 5%.
Okay.
So it's pretty hot in most places. Some places are rather cool and comfortable. I'm in Medellin right now, and it's cool and it's comfortable. Bogota is also cool and comfortable. I spent a month in Santa Marta, which is like average 90 degrees during the day, feels like about 103, and at night it drops down to like 88, 87, feels like
Okay.
97 degrees. So it's kind of a party town, but nice. So Colombia is my favorite country, I think, in the world because it's awesome because of the people, you know and I think that's what makes a place really special is the people, is what makes it really special. So service is amazing. People are very friendly and extremely respectful, and it's just kind of relaxed. Everybody is very relaxed and nice to each other, and
Hey, I got a couple questions. Um,
yeah,
how how do they treat Americans?
like gods,
Oh,
like absolute gods, dude. Like,
and why is that?
well, I think Hollywood has a lot to do with it,
Okay.
you know, because it's like, oh, you're from the United States, like you're famous. I want a friend from the United States. Everybody wants to have a friend from the U.S., and there's a heavy emphasis on education, so they want to learn English, and even though English is not widely spoken here,
Right.
it's
I kind of agree with that. Right.
yeah. So
When I go to a country, when I go to a country, especially when I went to Europe, I tried to speak their language.
yes,
I pick up things very quickly. I pick up quick phrases. I pick up words really quick, and I try to speak and read their language. Now, speaking it back at them in their language is tough for me. I mean, I could have someone say something in Spanish, and I can respond to them in English, but responding them back in their language is tough for me.
yeah,
So, so I think if I ever had the opportunity, I would probably pick up Spanish and French again, just for that aspect. I really would love to go back to France one day, and then Belgium and whatnot. And I would love to just travel into some Spanish speaking countries, and just, because it, I've heard some amazing things in some countries. So, I mean, and I want to be a part of them. I don't want to go in saying, "Yeah, I'm from the United States. I demand you to speak English." okay? Because that's not how I am. I want to, speak their language so they're not like, oh, he's not an arrogant American. He's actually wants to be like one of us. So, and that's how I feel. I mean, if you go into another country, you shouldn't impose your will on them.
Sure.
You should at least attempt. Now, when I was over in Europe, when I was in like Belgium, France, or whatever, I would try to speak a little bit of Dutch or a little bit of Flemish or a little bit of French or whatever. And
Yeah.
if I was having problems, they would, a lot of those people is a lot of people know English. So they would respond back to me. They would be like, they would say, "Oh, you know English," so they will help you out and stuff like that. But if you try and you attempt to speak their language, they will help you out.
Yes.
You
Yes.
don't want, and there's enough people that go over to France and and Americans and they're like, oh well, we demand you to speak English because we're the dominant country and blah 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 blah. And it's just
Wow.
like, no, that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That doesn't work well in France because the French people are very shy.
Yes.
They're very warm and kind-hearted, but they want to be seen well, and they don't want to be seen making a mistake. So their attempt at speaking English is just pretty much a lot of them is to just walk away. It's just
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to be seen making a mistake.
Well. In Paris, I had a lot of problems. They're the only people that would talk to me when I was in Paris, and I'm talking '97 here, were the immigrants,
Yeah,
the immigrants that came over.
like Pakistan,
Um,
India,
but
like
if I was in like the south of France, everybody was your buddy.
nice,
They're
nice.
like, I was in the south of France, and they're like, are you from the United States? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, hey, look who's here. We've got an American within our midst, and all this kind of stuff. Hey, pay for his food or whatever. It was like a fanfare because
Like a
I
part.
guess, I guess a lot of, after World War II, there were a lot of American soldiers that didn't go home,
Yeah, yeah.
that helped France rebuild,
Mm. Wow.
okay, and stayed in the south of France, and absorbed their culture and became the uh helped rebuild like wineries and infrastructure and stuff like that, and married French girls, and they respected that, and especially in the south of France, they are very pro-American. They are very pro-American
Wow.
because um, that's that's where the resistance was when Hitler took over Paris and stuff like that. There was a huge resistance in the south of France
Wow.
that kept Hitler at bay, per se.
Okay.
Um, and then when we came over, and when the United States came over and liberated France, it was that with the help of the resistance.
Hmm.
So, and they respect the south of France. They respect Americans a lot. They
Yeah.
know their history. They know their history, and if you know your history, you're fine.
Hmm.
But you know, but like I said, that was in '97. Um, I went over into Belgium and Switzerland. Anyway, it's not about my trip. We're talking about Colombia. Um, uh, you know, so
You want to hear this song?
do you like the beer that you have?
Yeah, it's a good beer. This is this right here is my go-to beer.
Okay.
Club Colombia in Roja Red is like
Okay.
my go-to beer. This is like if there's nothing better to try, this is what I'm going to drink. And it's pretty widely available. It's sold at most convenience stores, which are like everywhere. And it's okay. It's a good beer. It's good quality ingredients. Um, it's let's see here.
What would you compare it to in the States?
That's interesting. Let me see. Fat Tire.
A fat tire?
It's like an amber ale, basically. It's
Okay.
it's
All
basic.
right.
It's basically like it's 4.7%. So
Okay.
um, you
I
can
think fat tire is like 5.2 or 5.4 or something like that.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah you can just like drink it all day and just have a little tiny buzz. You know,
Okay.
so it's a,
All
it's
right.
it's a good beer. Um,
Okay.
it's a
What's a cuisine like in Colombia?
the food. You're looking at like some type of meat, like beef, pork, fish, chicken,
Okay.
and then it's going to come with rice or some kind of potatoes, like French fries, or maybe plantain banana, you know,
19, right.
fried plantain banana, maybe a soup to go with it for lunch. Arepa, it's like a corn,
Yes.
it's like a little corn tortilla thing that's kind of thick.
Right.
Maybe an arepa with cheese. It's very typical. It's not, the food is great. I mean, the food is delicious.
It's good, but it's not grandiose.
Right. I know. I mean, it's excellent. The food is
Okay.
excellent. But of course, everything is available here. They have Chinese food. They have the Mexican food, and everything is toned to the culture, to what are the locals going to eat. So you're not going to find Mexican food like you find in Colorado or New Mexico or
It's truly authentic.
well, it's got its Colombian twist.
Colombia's twist, right? It's
Yeah,
it's Spanish. It's Spanish cuisine, but not like it's not like Mexican food per se. It's just a span. It's Colombia's own twist of their own Spanish cuisine,
kind
basically.
yeah, kind of like California Mexican or
Okay.
Tex Mex, like
So if you were like to go to Peru, there's certain Peruvian cuisine. If you were to go to like Argentina, it'd be a certain Argentinian, but
sure.
everything's kind of like the same, but it's different.
Yeah, and then one of the big problems with because I love to cook Mexican food, and no matter where I go, I always cook for people, and it's really hard to source the ingredients that I want. So they have somewhere in Colombia there's a tortilla factory, but they use corn from Colombia. It's a tropical variety of corn. It's
Okay,
it's a yellow corn. I'm used to a temperate white corn
right.
tortilla. It's not sweet. Here it's sweet. The corn is more sweet. So they do a good job at trying to be as authentic as possible, but sourcing the ingredients is really tough. So I found a restaurant where I could buy tortillas, corn tortillas, and jalapenos because jalapenos are really hard to find. So I found
Really?
yeah, yeah. And I did notice that each grocery store that's substantial, that's big enough, they have a small amount of Mexican options, a small amount of salsas that are mild. Colombians are like allergic to spicy food. They're allergic to like hot water. Um, they're allergic to seat belts. You know,
Sounds like my kind of place.
Pretty
If
cool.
you're allergic to seatbelts, then I shit. That's kind of like my type of place.
Right, right.
That's how New Hampshire was too. I mean, they don't have a law, the seatbelt law in New Hampshire.
Mm,
So as soon as we crossed into New Hampshire, we started taking off our seatbelts.
yeah. And you'll notice I'm in a hotel. I'm in a I'm in a very nice. I'll show you my room really quick.
Okay.
Let me flip my camera around. Okay, got it. I'm in a very nice business class hotel here. It's a suite, you know, really super nice. Most of the rooms have hot tubs, but they were all booked when I got here. But this is a nice place. Colombians are also kind of allergic to following the rules, which is why I'm smoking in here. Because if I get caught smoking in here, there are no consequences, which is great. The only consequences, they say, please don't smoke in the room, right? And you say, I'm sorry. So last night, since I didn't get a suite with a hot tub in it, there is actually a massage room upstairs that's kind of outside inside, and I snuck up there, and there's a hot tub in there, so I snuck up there and I filled up the hot tub at like 2 a.m, and took myself a nice jacuzzi up there. And
So
if I got caught, it would be like, you're not supposed to do this, and it would be like, sorry, okay, bye.
so they're like, okay, unlike here in the United States, if you're caught smoking in a room, you
Two,
would get caught with a fine.
yeah, $250.
Okay, but in Colombia, if you're caught smoking in a room and you're not supposed to, they're just like, well, you're not supposed to do that, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, they'll just say, sir, please don't smoke in the room. And you say, okay, you know. And then if you
There,
continue,
there's
you know,
no fine or anything.
no, there's no consequences. If you continue to do it, then, the worst thing that could happen is they could say, we're booked. Like if you're booking your room every day, if you're
Right.
renting every day, or when you go to rebook, they could say, oh, we're full. They could do that, but I've never had that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a a punishment, internal punishment. Like if you keep breaking the rules, they could literally say, Mr. Cameron, we're booked for the rest of the week or something like that. So that would force you to go find another place.
They could do that. That's never happened to me, but
Okay. All
you know,
right.
like I'll
It,
smoke weed. Smoking weed, by the way, is okay here. It's a human right. But if you're smoking weed like in public, it's looked at as very low to smoke marijuana. They have a lot of propaganda against it.
oh,
Um,
okay.
so I actually got my girlfriend fired from her job for smoking weed at her restaurant.
Shame.
I know, it's so bad. I didn't
Girls gotta
I was
the
talking
girls gotta work.
No, they told me, dude. They told me it was okay. All the employees, the managers, they're like, "Yeah, you can smoke weed here outside. It's fine. Go ahead." And they were all like would be standing around me, but I was actually talking to the owner of her business, which I didn't know it was the owner, and I just turned to the side. I was on the street. I was standing on the street. I turned to the side and took a hit off my little one hitter, and he got mad and he started chasing me. I ran into the restaurant and paid my bill. I just dropped some cash off, and he like hit me when I was leaving, and then he fired her. And he tried to hire her back the next day, but I saw her like.
That's funny.
So I ran to my hotel. I ran to my hotel really quick, and I shaved and I showered really fast, like really quick. And I ran over to the
Uh-huh.
store and I bought a baseball cap and I changed my clothes. And I went over to where her daughter was working. And I walked right by her and her daughter. And they didn't even recognize me. They didn't see me. They didn't recognize me, anything. And then I came back over to where they were. And she was like, I'm so happy. I just got fired.
Wow.
Yeah, she was stoked, dude.
Hey, you've been in quite a few places in
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever thought about writing a book about your adventures?
Oh my gosh, dude. You can publish it when I die. Because I am like the worst traveler ever, dude. I always do something.
But it would be, but Shane, it would be hilarious. I would read it. If you put it, if your thoughts down on the places that you've been to, the things that you've done, okay, I would literally buy your book, okay, because I think it, you're not a typical tourista.
No, I don't go to touristy places. I go to non-tourist places. Like,
You're not a typical tourista, okay? You're just like I'll do whatever I want, wherever, you know, type person. And I think that would be an awesome book idea for you. Just I think it'd just be interesting with all the places that you've been ever since I've even met you. So
that would be fun. That would be way fun, man. I would dig that. I would totally dig that. I have some stories that are just so
oh,
embarrassing.
I'm sure. The climbing the border wall was hilarious.
Apparently, I'm famous in Central America and Mexico now on YouTube and on the news.
So I think stories like that would just be just fun to read.
Yeah,
And if you ever considered doing something like that, I would be honored to buy your book.
that would be cool. That would be cool. I would need somebody to help with editing, but I could write. I could do like a short book, like 17,000 words or 18,000 words, something like that.
Yeah,
Um, I have one book that's written, but I'm not going to publish it for a long time. Um, so
I'm writing now, and I got one book done, and looking for people to read it um before I even I don't have it down in chapters yet, but my first book is done, so now I need to do something with it.
yeah,
So
I would I would consider doing a book because a lot of times, I'm getting chased by some woman that's in love with me, and and I'm like rebooking my tickets, or I'm buying new tickets so I can leave like the continent. I'm like, I gotta get off of this continent, man. This chick's crazy. That's the great thing about dating internationally, is because a lot of them can't get a visa, or they don't have a passport, or
it's interesting. It's interesting to note that an American can go just about anywhere they want to go.
yeah,
Okay, but someone from like Colombia or Italy um
Italy's good. Italy has a lot of
or some place in Africa, they can't go everywhere
they
that
don't have a
American
lot of
can go.
yeah, they don't have a lot of options.
No, they don't, but Americans do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there
If
are a
you're an
lot of
American, and if you're American, you got a little bit of cash,
yeah,
all right, you can go just about anywhere in this world that you could go.
yeah, a lot. We have a lot of options for travel
Yes, we
without.
do have a lot of options.
Yeah,
And that's one of the reasons why I'm an open bordered person.
right.
Okay, because I think every human should have that option.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I when when I was leaving Colombia it was about 18 years ago on the international flight out, everybody was crying. And I was crying. Like everybody on the airplane was crying because it's a really great place. And when I got back to the United States, I was like, God, people are fucking assholes here. What a bunch of cunts. It took me a couple of weeks to, return to kind of adjust.
Right.
English is a dramatic language. It's not a romance language.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it's a dramatic language. So we sound kind of harsh and, stuff like that. But there's a lot of variations in Spanish. And
right.
I think things have improved a lot here. I haven't flown out internationally out of Colombia for about 18 years. So I'm expecting that everybody's not going to be crying on the airplane tomorrow because I'm leaving tomorrow.
Where are you headed back here?
Yeah. So my flight was scheduled for yesterday. I missed it. No refunds, no nothing. So I had to rebook. So I'm kind of fucked. But yeah, I'm going to head back. Got to do a little bit of work, make a little bit of money, shit like that.
So are you heading back to Colorado, I'm assuming?
Pretty soon I'm going to head back to Colorado. I'm going to hang out in New Mexico a little bit.
Okay.
I've got to pick up my car is there. And then I got some jobs to do in Colorado, and then I'm going to cruise out to California, and I've got a vehicle out there in California.
Okay.
So, and I've got
so is your girlfriend kind of upset that you're leaving?
Of course. Yeah, of course she is. She's a great lady. Nice lady. And, super awesome. She's very educated. She's a professor from Venezuela.
Okay.
She has 2 kids, 23 and 21 years old, and a grandkid. She has a grandson. So she's a very educated and accomplished person, but she had to leave Venezuela because there's no food.
Right.
And, the only thing you can do with money when you can't buy food or toilet paper is
to burn it.
You can wipe your ass.
Yeah.
That's it. You can burn it. You can wipe your ass.
Yeah. What's the point of printing money when you can't use it, right?
Yeah. Right.
Well, that's cool. I know you mentioned grandson. I don't know if you followed.
Yes.
Mine.
Grandpa.
But I'm a grandpapa.
That's so cool, man. How exciting.
I'm a grandpapa. If you look on my Facebook profile, I got a picture of me and my grandbaby. Mm-hmm. So he's so adorable. He's so cute. I love him. I love him to pieces. So
is that by your daughter Charity?
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, congratulations to you and the family.
Thank you.
That's so cool, man.
How that picture turned about was my wife was feeding him, and we had him last weekend for most of the weekend for Easter and stuff. And my wife had him, and she had to go to the bathroom. So she's running into the room. She goes, "I gotta go to the bathroom really bad. You're gonna have to give him the rest of his bottle." It's like, all right. So I grabbed him and started feeding him, and then I burped him. And then right before the wife come back in, he just started looking at me, and then he giggled and he laughed and he smiled, and I was just like, "Oh, that is so cute." And right then and there, he melted my heart. So, and that's when the wife took the picture of that's on my Facebook profile right now.
That's all.
And I was just like, and all week this week, I've been going around saying, this is my grandbaby. This is my grandbaby. You know,
Yeah.
so I'm a proud grandparent.
Yeah. Wow.
So and my daughter, she's slowly trying to get her life back together.
Yes.
So she's at a transitional housing place
Hmm.
where they teach her life skills and helps her get a job, helps her take care of her baby
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Um so she's not so dependent on other people. I mean, for the longest time she was guy chasing.
Yeah.
She's just like uh oh, a guy's interested in me. Oh, I know you go see him, and it just got really bad.
Sure.
Um, so I just want her just to concentrate on her. Guys are always going to be there.
Well,
Okay.
and she knows that you and Yvonne are there for her,
Yeah.
and that
That plus
she knows so.
if she's out running the country chasing guys, how are we going to see our grandbaby?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't want your WIC. I don't want your food stamps or whatever because we do just fine. I don't want any of that. I just want to hold my grandbaby. That's all I want.
Yeah. That's
So
great. That's great. And I know when I was um, newly widowed, my daughter was 13 months old,
okay.
and I was like, no problemo, no problem, but still needed a lot of help. And my mom was there, and her husband, my dad, and things like that. And it made all the difference in the world. And really, that's what's awesome. What's awesome about my childhood that I remember hanging out with my grandparents. You know, those were good times, hanging out with the grandparents.
So
Well, you're lucky, man. That's awesome.
yeah, I am. I am.
We get to call you grandpa.
So uh well he can't talk obviously, so when he gets to that point we'll come up with something. But right now I'm grandpapa. So
That's cool. Well, I've got a few years before that happens for me. Kiddo's 14 now, so
right.
it's not far off. I keep reminding her. I'm like, be nice, be nice to the boys, okay? You know, be nice to the ones that are nice to you. Don't blow them off, even if they're older, because you know you're getting there, dude. 14, not too far away from adulthood. So
Right.
yeah, try to encourage her to keep good friendships at this point. And
So
I'm lucky because she's so close with us with family, and
right.
she just wants to hang out with her friends and work really hard at studying and do activities, and she's really focused. So that's cool. Um, but okay, so you want to hear a story about Colombia?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So I came to Colombia to meet a girl, right? And like 24 hours before my flight, she was like, "I'm sick. Reschedule. Don't come." And I'm like, "No, I don't care if you're sick. I'm coming. Okay? Tell your brother or your mom, your dad, your aunt, your cousin, or something to pick me up at the airport."
Right.
And she's like, "Nobody's going to pick you up at the airport." So I was like, "Well, fine." So I arrived and booked a hotel right next to the airport, and I hung out, and I woke up the next day, and I was like, "Well, I've heard." I arrived in Medellin, and I was like, "Well, I've heard that Santa Marta is really cool. It's supposed to be pretty laid back beach town, nice." So I booked a ticket for the same night. for the same day because you can get a plane ticket for like $50.
Okay.
Right? So I booked a ticket to go to Santa Marta. I had a friend there, Joaquin. So I sent Joaquin a message and I said, hey, can you pick me up at the airport? Because I always have somebody pick me up at the airport. Always. You know, Joaquin's like, yeah. So he walked from his house to the airport to pick me up. It's like a 20-minute walk. And then took me to the hotel. You know, we took a taxi up to a hotel. And the hotel was booked. So I told the taxi driver, I was like, well, take me to a decent business class hotel. You know, something simple, something decent. I'm not looking for a tourist resort. And so he took me over to a hotel. So I checked in and I said, hey, Joaquin, let's go grab a beer. You know, before I send you home, let's go get a beer. So we walk down the street and sit down at this bar, right? So this girl that works there comes out, and I'm talking to Joaquin. This girl comes out to take our order, and I was like, hey, how would you like to go to the United States with me? just kind of, you know, goofing around,
Right.
Just kind of goofing around. So we sit there and drink some beers, and a couple hours later, she asks my friend Joaquin, she was like, hey, can you ask him if I can give him my phone number? Right? And I'm like, whoa, okay. So I'm like, yeah, you know, I haven't had a girl ask, like, can I give you my phone number? I think ever in my life. And so I said, yes, that'd be fine. And then I had, that was on Sunday. So I had 2 dates the next day, and she was date number 3. So I had 3 dates that day. So I went out, you know, met this girl at the beach, and then met another girl at the bar. And then she shows up with her daughter, and her daughter's like 21. So I said, oh, you brought a friend? And she's like, yeah, you know, we're best friends. Actually, it's my daughter. I'm like, awesome, dude. I was so impressed. She brought her daughter on a date. That was awesome. What a cool thing to do. You know, I thought
Hmm.
that was really super nice. So we ended up spending like 20 hours a day together for like the whole time, you know. But I rented an apartment in a skyrise down there, or up there, down for you, up for me, on the
Right.
beach, and you know, just invited her and her daughter to come and stay with me, and we just cooked and ate. And Venezuelan and Colombian women love beer.
Oh, they love beer.
They fucking love beer, dude. They love beer, man. Even the Christian ones, they're like, yeah, let's go to the bar. Let's drink. I'm like, sweet.
Uh,
This is awesome. American chicks, a lot of them don't like beer, you know?
no, a lot of
Uh,
American girls don't like beer. You're right.
South American girls love beer. Latin women love beer, you know? And I mean, that's a cool thing. You know, that's a really cool thing. So we had a really special time together. And her niece is here also. Her niece is about 21, from Venezuela. They're all from Venezuela, and educated, accomplished, but you know, they kind of give them basic jobs here in Colombia. So the Venezuelans have helped Colombia a lot by coming here because they have a lot of education and a lot of experience, and they're very polished, very refined. Uh, Colombians are pretty polished and pretty refined people, but they're a little more party, a little more loud, and you know, Venezuelans are kind of quiet and um, you know, kind of proud and polished. You know, Colombians are a little more party. So, but good cultures, very good cultures. So, what's happening in Colombia because of all the Venezuelans coming here is they're building massive sky rises, massive amounts of sky rises. There's cranes all over the place. They've filled in all the jobs for all the service industry and the construction industry. And, things are just booming. Service is excellent. Food is great. They're cooking as chefs. They're, doing the service jobs in the restaurants, waitressing and managing and bartending. And oh my gosh, they work hard. They work their butts off for like, $10 a day for a 10-hour,
right?
like a buck an hour. So I hired a housekeeper to come in like twice a week, kind of, because you have to clean the house like every day here because it's dirty, it's tropical. You leave the windows open all the time,
right?
And there's no such thing as like screens on the windows to keep the bugs out and shit like that. So you have to clean the house like 2-3 times a day. It's just how it goes, So I hired a lady, a couple times a week. She could come and do all of our laundry, do all the washing, clean the floors, and then we can go out and go to a restaurant for breakfast or go to a restaurant for lunch or something, so she could relax more. But that was nice. So yeah, $10 a day. I give her like 4 hours of work and pay her for 10 hours of work. Give her like $12 for 4 hours, and she's like, wow, this is great. Very thankful for that.
Right.
Yeah, so that's cool. A lot of stuff is expensive here. A lot of stuff is the same price as the US. Like for like a Duval, Duval?
German Duval, beer? Yes.
Yeah, that's like let's see, that's like $6.
Okay. For one of them. It's imported. Yep.
Yeah, that's like $6. I think for this beer here, I pay like $3 for this beer. But if I go to the liquor store and buy it, then I get them for like $1 each, or 65 cents or 75 cents each, depending on where you go. But it's not that cheap, Like taxi rides are kind of cheap, and plane tickets are kind of cheap. But a lot of things are quite expensive. Plate of food at a restaurant's still like 10, 12, $15 on average. So you can get like appetizers for $5. Not a huge difference. Not really a huge difference in a lot of places in the US. And I've stuck to more touristy kind of areas because we don't have, there's not a lot of United States people that come to Colombia.
Yeah.
There's more Europeans. It's more popular for Europeans, like Germans and British people and Scottish people. And, there's a lot more advertising. Spaniards like to come.
The Spaniards, yeah.
Yep. So there's a lot more advertising going that direction. And I think the flights are a little better too. So, but yeah, I've stuck to more touristy places, which is cool because there are a lot of people you would consider refugees from Venezuela. So I got to meet a lot of them at like every level of society, every level of society that they come from. That's really interesting. A lot of musicians, street musicians, street dancers, street performers, people selling coffee, people selling fruit, just walking down the street. You don't really have to go anywhere to get what you want. Everything comes to you. Like whether you want cigarettes or whether you want a beer, or if you want to buy a new backpack or coloring books, people are just walking around selling every kind of random fucking thing you could think of. Like if you need a new mop, eventually somebody's going to walk by with a mop that's trying to sell it to you.
Oh. Don't we call that something? Don't we call that free market capitalism?
Yes, free market capitalism. But business in Colombia is way more regulated than the U.S. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. Like if you want to start a business in the United States, you just have to start doing business with a name and do a deal, and then you can register your trade name,
Right.
and then you can get a bank account. In Colombia, you need like an attorney. It costs like about $1,000 to start a business. It's quite expensive. So yeah, there are a lot of transient vendors that are unlicensed here. Lots of unlicensed transient vendors selling coffee and random things. So the police do harass them, unfortunately. And I think that the police will tell them not to do that. I've never seen anybody get arrested here. Um, it does happen occasionally, like for assault and, violent crimes. It does.
Violent crimes. Right.
Yes, for violent crimes. Buying and selling drugs is very illegal. It's extremely illegal. It'll get you 5 years easy. So if you want to get like weed, if you come to Colombia and you want to buy weed, you have to be really
Come on.
smart about it, you know.
Right.
But it's really easy to find because you'll see somebody they'll have like their tray that they sell out of with cigarettes and gum and candy and all that kind of stuff, lighters, and they'll like flash a bag of Coke at you. They'll be like, "Hey, look, you want this?" Or they'll flash a bag of weed at you or something. So it'll find you. It will definitely find you. Um, because I haven't tried any of that. The
So
Coke
okay.
tried.
So what I'm trying to get here is it's okay to imbibe in
Yes,
with weed, but it's illegal to sell it.
right. It's illegal to buy and sell. It's a crime on both sides.
But it's okay to use it.
You can use it. You can grow it. You can possess it. There's no law against smoking weed in public here, but the police will give you a ticket and they will harass you for it. I think it's like a citation. Um, so after I got my girlfriend fired from her job for smoking pot on the street, which was not in her job, it was outside of her job on the street. But I was talking to the owner of her business, so he was pissed. But after I got her fired, I was like, I'm never going to smoke weed in public here ever fucking again because people are really heavily offended. And, like in the United States, if you smoke weed in public, I've never had anybody say anything about smoking weed in public other than like, smells like somebody's smoking pot. I've never had
Right.
anybody with me over it. So, but I think the people take a lot heavier kind of stance on marijuana here, but they
Okay.
sell they sell creams and gels and stuff like that are made out of marijuana and coca, and you can buy coca leaves. You can buy cigars that are rolled out of coca.
Mm-hmm.
You could buy coca cigars. So I bought coca leaves, and I was like making tea out of it. If somebody was sick, I'm like, oh, I'll make you some coca tea. Or you chew it, kind of chew it, and it's
Right.
just it's just like relaxing, or it kind of gives you energy, or it takes pain away. And then the coca cigar is really nice. I really enjoyed the coca cigars, much nicer than like a Dominican or like a Cohiba or a Cuban cigar. The Colombian coca cigars, they're kind of thin and kind of short, about like
Right.
that, and man, they're smooth and kind of nice, got a really nice little flavor to them, and just give you a little bit of relaxation. And you know they don't like make you numb or anything, but it's a plant. It's like it's not processed like cigarette tobacco is,
Mm-hmm.
so it doesn't have any chemicals. And people have been doing it for like, I don't know, thousands of years. And some of them aren't dead. They didn't die from that. You know, they're not cooking it with like diesel fuel or
Yeah.
you know um, what ammonia they use for cigarette tobacco. They cook it with ammonia. So that's way more damaging than just smoking like a cigar or a coca cigar, a tobacco cigar or a coca cigar, something that's a lot safer. So, but yeah, um, I think most of the people have a coca plant growing in their house here. It's really normal to have a coca plant growing in the house, even if you're like a pastor of a church. Oh yeah, we have a coca plant.
Didn't you say that you can take the cocoa leaf and chew it?
Yeah, we take the coca leaf and just chew
Right,
it.
and you chew it, and some people use it as a medicinal
Yeah,
remedy.
we use it for medicine.
Right,
I'll make a tea. I'll make a tea out of it. I'll use like
right.
or a lime. I'll take a
Well,
little
which
lime.
which makes sense why people would have a cocoa plant growing in their house.
Yes, yes,
So
yeah,
all you have to do is just pick a leaf and chew it, and
yeah,
it'd be like almost taking like an aspirin or something.
yeah. Or it's like growing tomatoes.
Right.
Or yeah,
It's
it's
I
growing
yeah,
parsley. Or So yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it's cool. Or um, they can pulverize the leaves,
Right.
and then take the paste and chew the paste. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, the first time I tried the dried leaves, just chewing the dried leaves, after about 5 minutes, I was like, okay, there's a mild effect. This has a very, very mild effect. You know,
Right.
yeah. So that was. It wasn't like having a beer. It was not like having a cigarette. It was. I mean, because a beer or a cigarette will give you a pretty strong effect, and the coca leaf was just like a really mild kind of effect. It's almost like a CBD. You know, you just
Okay.
you just kind of like from CBD, you just kind of get some relief for what you need relief from, and it works, but it doesn't like alter your state of mind. Other than it takes pain away, or if somebody has a cold, um, make them a tea with the coca leaf, some garlic, some lime, a little echinacea, and then they're like, "Oh, I feel better. My cold's gone right away." Drink a cup of hot coca tea, you know. So, and my whole thing is like, okay, they make shit out of this that's not good, that I'm never gonna try, that I've never messed with, but
Right.
hey, this is a plant. This is a plant. People do this in their homes, and you know, like this is widely accepted and recognized as natural medicine. And
Cool.
yeah, and I think they do that with the poppy also, like in Afghanistan and other places that grow poppy. Is they use it in the natural form medicinally. So
Wow.
yeah,
Uh,
we're inundated with propaganda to say like if people were smoking carrots and getting high off of them, would everybody quit eating carrots? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Of
Yeah.
course, we're with if you have just joined us, we're with worldwide known renowned traveler Shane Cameron um here on the Beer and Bullshit show. Um, so you're leaving tomorrow?
Yeah, taking off tomorrow. Gonna go on my next adventure, and yeah, it's been fun. It was really hot in Santa Marta. Um, Medellin is nice. It's raining. The weather is cool. It's comfortable. Uh, I suffered with my feet swelled up for like 3 weeks. My feet were swollen.
Ouch.
Um, Heat rash. Like I had heat rash all over my ass and everything. I just get home and just strip all my clothes off and just walk around naked as much as possible because of all the humidity. Take like 4 showers a day.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, but I'm somewhat more acclimated now, but still, you know, just have to be careful. I did get really sick from drinking the water. Yeah, because I'm kind of adventurous like that. And I had about that much water from the tap 3 days in a row. I was just trying to get the bacteria into my body a little bit to, kind of build up a little bit of a resistance. And I would take it with a little shot of vinegar afterwards. And I think that all of just the climate, the tropical climate, the heat, the humidity, and then drinking the kind of fishy water up in Santa Marta was a little too much. So I had one day where I was shooting fluids out of both ends. So that was tough. And the girls took care of me. They ran to the pharmacy and got me like a really strong pharmaceutical grade probiotic.
Okay.
And all I wanted to do was drink water, man. I just was so thirsty. And every time I took a sip of water or anything, I was like drinking Pedialyte, which I hate. I don't like Gatorade. I don't like Pedialyte. I like water or, big
Right.
normal shit, Um, I just like projectile vomit all this water out. It was tough. It was a really tough day. Um, other than that, I did have to spend some time kicking my feet up and soaking my feet in some kind of special solution that they made up. Like every day, had to soak my feet to keep the swelling down, and you know do some kind of special treatment for the heat rash. Um, but I've got a friend up there that runs like an herbal shop, and whatever you need, he's got it, and it's cheap. Like $1.50, $1.75, $2. You can get anything. So that stuff is inexpensive. Pharmacies are inexpensive. They have real medicine that you don't have to get a prescription for. Um, so that's huge. They're located everywhere. There's like a pharmacy on every street corner,
Yeah.
and herbal shops like on every street. Not quite as many herbal shops as pharmacies, but there are a lot of them. So I've enjoyed
So,
the.
before you went to Colombia, what was the visa requirement?
For a U.S. citizen, you just arrive, and then they stamp
I'm
it.
I'm I'm assuming you have a passport, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to have a passport. Yeah, you can't
Right.
get out of the U.S. unless you walk out through to Mexico. You can
Mm-hmm.
walk in Mexico with no passport. That's fine, but you're only supposed to go 17 kilometers. That's the max, 17 kilometers without a visa for Mexico. But you can walk out of the United States currently, um, in most cases, just through Mexico. You can't get into Canada. Canada's tough. They're tougher than the U.S.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So you can just get your passport, book your tickets, fly to Colombia, and they'll give you a tourist visa for 90 days. And if you want to extend, you can extend your tourist visa. You need to do it probably about 10 days before. Get the process started about
Yeah,
10.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Give yourself a little cushion.
yeah,
They don't like people to overstay their visas. It's it's the kind of thing that'll get you deported.
right.
Mexico's the same way. But if you're here and you have no paperwork, if you have no identity, then they're a humanitarian country and they'll let you stay. But if you
Kind
present,
of like a lot of the Venezuelans.
yeah, yeah, a lot of the Venezuelans come, and then they can come because Venezuela is not letting them out without a passport. They cannot leave without a passport in most cases from Venezuela. Um, and they definitely can't leave. That's at the ground crossings, the bridges and ground crossings. And you definitely can't leave Venezuela without a passport if you intend to fly. It's not possible. But yeah, what's what's saving the Venezuelans is the Revolutionary Armed Forces and the ELN and the guerrillas. That they're the factions that deal with, they're like the government, anti-government in Colombia. They're the ones that protect the cocaine trade and different things like that. But they're actually guarding the paths to leave Venezuela illegally to get into Colombia. Once they're in Colombia, there's humanitarian aid now on the borders, set up by various countries, which mostly the United States likes to take credit for, but it's a joint effort from a lot of different countries. But they can actually go into immigration at the border in Colombia, and they can give a few bucks, like $10 or something, $15, and get a 2-year work visa. They can get a 2-year work visa, and then if they have a child here, they get citizenship. The child and the parents get citizenship. So that's nice.
Interesting.
That's helpful for them because um, Venezuela is a prison, and hey, you know what? The United States is a prison too. It's a prison. It is. That's right. Mexico is a prison. Every country is a prison. The reason it's a prison, tax money. They want to tax your ass. That's it. They got to keep their tax base. If everybody could go work in Mexico, the United States wouldn't have very much tax money. Mexico would be getting all the tax money, you know. So that's what a border is. Is it's just a way for them to collect taxes, to steal from your paycheck, to steal, you know, charge you rent on your property that you own and everything else. So yeah, and Mexico is a more humanitarian country. I have a lot of friends in Mexico that have been deported from the U.S. They don't have Mexican citizenship. They don't have it, but Mexico allows them to be non-citizens. They don't have citizenship anywhere in the world. They can't get a bank account. Um, they have to get a friend to get a cell phone because everywhere in the world you have to have documentation to get a cell phone. You know, so you can't even be a real person without like a cell phone. Even if you don't have a bank account, if you have a cell phone, you exist in the world more than just being a transient or just more than a beggar. But if you don't have a way to communicate, then your life is reduced to just basically nothing. So it's good. I mean, technology has opened up the world. Things like PayPal are helping to shape Venezuela. Bitcoin, the United States dollar, is illegal to trade in Venezuela in most cases. They're trading United States dollars. PayPal does not serve Venezuela. They're getting money. They're getting U.S. dollars down there via PayPal. Bitcoin's illegal, I think. They're getting Bitcoin. So all these things that have to do with technology. If people don't have access to technology, then they can't really be an entity on the earth that exists outside of kind of like a primitive lifestyle, living on the cement. You can't rent an apartment without an identification of some sort, without some kind of a reference, without a phone. At least if you have a phone and a job, you can get an apartment, maybe, even without an identity. Which is just some bullshit that the government put on paper, which you or I could do. I can jump on my computer and say, hey, like Lieberland, I'm gonna start issuing passports for my 5-acre piece of land here. We're gonna be a country. I'm gonna issue passports. How is that any less legitimate than what all these other countries are doing? It's not. It's no less legitimate. It's all bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. All of it.
Yep, I totally agree, Shane. I totally agree. So, when are you gonna see your lovely daughter again?
Pretty quick. I'm heading that direction. Let me just grab a beer. Actually, I might have a shot too. Oh shit, dude. We got Chivas. I bet it's expensive, but I'm gonna drink it anyways. Okay, so this right here, Aguila. Aguila. This is the they call this the Negra, which is black.
Okay.
But let me finish this one here. This is like the national beer. I think they consider it to be the national beer of Colombia. I don't know if I've got it on any of my football shirts, but I'll have to look later because I'm packed. But this is the Aguila Negra, the black.
Okay.
Yep. Uh-huh. Does that look black?
No.
What color does that appear to be?
It's very lucent and transparent.
Yeah. It's like
a golden kind of color.
Yeah, it's kind of gold. So, I don't know. I would call it like an ale or a lager. Let me see. It's from Barranquilla. It's famous since 1913. And let's see here. 4% alcohol. It's basically water with bubbles. But I bought one just for the show. Not because I love it. It's a decent beer for when nothing else is available. When I can't get my hands on the club,
right,
or the Bogota Brewing, it's a decent beer. By the way, a couple of plugs here. While I'm in Medellin, I did go to Medellin Beer Factory today. I went to 2 of their locations. The beers are good. They have a good selection of imports and local beers. They have a lot of Bavarian, Belgian, German beers, and